GCU students. I know that break was a little bit short. I thank you for bearing with us a little bit as our other session was running a bit behind. So we'll try to condense this one too a little bit for us to make sure that we get out here on time. But let me start with an introduction. If we didn't have a chance to meet in the last session, my name is Charity Norman. I am the Director of Welcome Programs here at GCU. This is my 10th Welcome Week this year as a staff member. And since this is parent and family orientation, you guys get family photos instead of just our individual headshots for those of us who provided them. So this is my husband, Dustin, and my daughter, Elliot. She is not a college student. She is smart, but not that smart. Well, not that, you know what I mean. I'm not a parent of a college student, but I am a parent, and I have learned a lot from working with parents and families about what to expect when I am a parent. In another 11 or so years when I'm in your seat and my daughter is going off to her orientation group. I am obviously the mother of an only child. Do I have any parents of only children in here? Please feel free to come up and give me advice afterwards, because I am gonna be a mess when the time comes for her to go off to college. But I want to start off with sharing a brief blessing for you guys that Pastor Tim, who was up in the last session, has recorded. He wants to celebrate you guys, and then I'll come up afterwards and share a little bit more about this session, a little more about what your students can experience in their O groups, and then what they'll be experiencing through their first semester and their first year. Then later in the session, you will have the chance to hear from some health and safety professionals here at GCU. You'll get the chance to hear from our student life professionals at GCU and learn more about our support for students in their academic and their career endeavors. So let me go ahead and cue that video from Tim.
Mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts and uncles, guardians and families. I'm Tim Griffin, Dean of Students and Campus Pastor, and I want to take a moment to reflect on how you and your student have arrived at this new and exciting chapter. Under the provision of God, your tireless support, sacrifices, and steadfast encouragement have paved the way for your student to reach the milestone of college. They're here, in part, because of you. You have been some of their most influential teachers, instilling values that foster growth not only in knowledge, but in character. You have stewarded their lives well, praying with them, dreaming with them, and preparing them in ways only you can. Every shoe tied, school paper signed, meal prepared, and event has taught them love. As your student embarks on their college journey, may your hearts be both comforted and encouraged that they are going to achieve incredible accomplishments, that many of their dreams are on the brink of being realized, that they are equipped to navigate life and find their purpose in it. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." You can feel hope as your student takes this next step. God is with them, and so is their new GCU family. God bless you, and thank you.
Awesome. So again, I hope that was an encouragement to you guys. We really want you to feel celebrated and for us to acknowledge and your students to learn to acknowledge the hard work that you have invested in them to get them to this point. So I'm going to go ahead and talk through our orientation group session just so you can know what your student is going to be experiencing. So they'll be in O groups from 5 until about 7 p.m. They are led by passionate student leaders who you met during the first session. They will meet other new students, as you're aware, in their orientation group, and they'll meet some of the students who will be living in their same building, in their same hall, to help start building those pieces of community. Our new student orientation process is a very intentional process for the students, where we start with the module, the really like nitty-gritty nuts and bolts kind of boxes that you need to check. And we finish with a more social and emotional connection piece once they get to campus here. So this social connection piece is really important. all three of the cogs work together really strategically to help the student succeed and be prepared holistically. Like I said in the last session, we care about the welcome, and that means preparing our students and our families as well as we possibly can for what is up to come. So along those lines, we have some learning outcomes for new student and family orientation. We have student outcomes, which is to prepare them academically and give them resources for getting involved on campus life, for them to develop holistically and as individuals, and for them to learn some policies and procedures that are necessary for them to be successful here. We have really similar learning outcomes for parents and families. So these are the family learning outcomes. And your learning outcomes are to learn about the GCU campus environment and policies necessary to uphold federal law and adhere to GCU community standards. And also to prepare how to, to recognize how the college transition impacts the family dynamic and the ways to communicate the changes and support, for us to support you through the process. So all of those things are going to be wrapped up today in the parent and family orientation. You will get a lot of that nuts and bolts that you probably didn't get unless you went through the module with your student. You'll get some of the nuts and bolts by learning about FERPA and how that applies to you, by learning about safety and wellness here on campus, by learning about our student conduct and community standards processes. But you'll also get the support side of it and learn about what GCU does to build community among the family and to prepare you for some of the changes that you might be experiencing throughout the upcoming semester and the upcoming year. So in that vein, I want to talk to you about a theory of transition that we base a lot of our orientation program around. It's called the W-curve theory of transition. It is called the W-curve because it is shaped like a W. It starts at a high point, then hits a low point, back up, back down, and back up again. So I'm going to talk to you about each one of those points and share with you a little bit of what you might be able to expect as your student is transitioning from life before college to life during college. So not surprisingly, we start off on a high note called the honeymoon phase. Anytime that any of us has been in any period of transition, this is most likely our starting spot. We are excited about what is up ahead. Everything feels really exciting. Everything feels super positive. We're very confident that the new phase is going to be better than the old phase. The problems that we had in the old phase are not going to apply to the new phase. We can easily adjust to a new sleeping schedule, all kinds of things. Most likely, your students are in their honeymoon phase right now. Welcome week is so often accompanied with all of those really high emotions, and it feels maybe a little bit like they're at summer camp and everybody that they meet is their best friend and they're not going to have any problems with their roommates. Everything is just going to be sunshine all the time. They can attend a 7 a.m. class every day and make sure that they wake up on time for it. Lots of confidence, lots of excitement that what is up ahead is far and away better than what they left behind. This is the honeymoon phase. This will probably, depending on your student, you know your student better than I do. Generally, this phase lasts anywhere from the first week to about the first 3 weeks. So our most optimistic students are usually out of the honeymoon phase by the end of September. And after that phase ends, we start to hit a culture shock period. And again, if you think through some of your own life transitions that you have been through, after the honeymoon phase, you get a little bit of a reality jolt where you realize that it still does take a lot of work to adjust to this new thing, and it's not as sunshine and roses as you were kind of expecting it to be. So when students are in this phase, what this could look like is suddenly, I didn't realize that I was going to have this much homework that I need to do and that I was going to be accountable to go to my 7 a.m. class, and it's actually really hard for me to go to events every night and then wake up for my class every morning. Or my roommate snores, and what am I supposed to do about that? I've never shared a room with a person before, and this is hard. These are the things that lead to a culture shock. This is also generally a very temporary phase. So most students are only in culture shock for about a month maybe is when students will be experiencing this. So typically culture shock we're experiencing like midway through September till midway, maybe late October is when they're going to be experiencing this culture shock. And it's really just, this is new, and I saw the good, and now I'm starting to see the not as good as what was expecting. The good news is, once we help our students through culture shock, which we can do by helping them to recognize that these experiences are normal and not to be reactionary when your student calls home and says, my roommate is snoring, I need to switch rooms. Your reaction should not be, great, let me call residence life and housing operations and I will get you out of your room. Not an appropriate reaction to a snoring roommate. What's appropriate is, have you talked with your roommate about this? Is your roommate willing to wear like a nose plug? I picked a really weird example today, guys, I'm sorry. Yesterday I did like my roommate's not doing their dishes, which feels a little bit better, but today we're going with the snoring thing, so here we are. The more appropriate reaction is to talk to encourage your student to talk to their roommate and to see if the two of them can find a solution together. And your appropriate reaction is not to just jump to, let me come and solve this problem for you, which I know that you know cognitively because our students are adults now. Your students are adults. Mine is a child. But the great news is after students are kind of through this culture shock, they start to hit an initial adjustment period. This is really important that you work with them through the culture shock instead of trying to take away the culture shock, because it builds confidence and it helps to lead them to that initial adjustment that they're going to be experiencing. The confidence that's built, and again, think about your own experiences. When you have learned to figure things out on your own, it helps you to feel more confident that you belong in a certain situation and that you can tackle what that situation is throwing at you. That's really important developmentally for students to be learning in their first semester at GCU. So this initial adjustment we'll typically see maybe end of October, sometimes as late as like Thanksgiving time, generally just kind of midway through the first semester. And this is when a student's like, okay, I figured the roommate thing out, I got my class schedule figured out, I've learned how to adjust my sleeping schedule, I can handle this, I am fine. Excuse me. And the next phase doesn't happen with all students, but it is very, very common, is after an initial adjustment, we do hit a period of isolation. The reason is, after a student has felt like they've adjusted, they know the good of a situation, they know the bad of a situation, but they don't know all of the situation. And so they think that they've adjusted, and then something else that is new hits them, and it feels very, very lonely, and they feel like they're going through it by themselves. That's why it's called isolation. The irony is that it's called isolation because, or it's in this curve because it happens so ordinarily. It's extremely, extremely common, but it will feel like your student is the only one who is going through this by themselves. And what might happen here is a little bit deeper than the culture shock. So it's like I tried to work through things with my roommate, I thought that it was gonna be fine, and it's just not. The snoring is just, it's not, I can't do it. And everybody else has a great relationship with their roommate. I must not belong here. Has anyone ever told themselves these kind of stories before? Like everybody else is figuring it out and I'm the only one who is pretending. But again, it's part of the normal curve. It's part of a normal period of adjustment, and the benefit of this is that they can get through it. Most often we see students hit this isolation period in about finals week. So typically in December, they're looking forward to going home. They've been through a semester. Finals is difficult for students. It's a more rigorous period of adjustment or study, excuse me, for them. And it's just, yeah, it's more rigorous. It's tough to say. Yeah, between the looking forward at going home and the challenge that they don't feel like they've faced yet, this is most likely when we're going to see students entering into this phase. So after they have completed their fall semester, some students hit the final phase before the end of the fall semester, but by and large, most of our students hit the final phase of it during their early part of their spring semester when they choose to come back, and that's called integration. So now they've been through the entire semester, they know the majority of the things that they're going to be experiencing, and they feel well prepared for them, and they feel like they've been given the tools to conquer them, mostly on their own. And that's a really important step to take into adulthood, and that's where you can come alongside them and help them, is just like you have for their entire lives, think about the end goal in mind. The end goal is that you are a successful adult who can handle problems on your own. And that means that you're going to be going through high points and low points throughout this experience, and I'm alongside you to equip you, to encourage you, to help you think about creative solutions to complicated problems, and to cheer you on so that you can reach the point of integration and ultimately of success. So I hope that you all found that helpful. I'm super happy to elaborate a little bit more about it later if you would like. In the meantime, I'm going to invite our student worker, Brooke, up to the stage. Brooke is our student worker within Welcome Programs. She is a senior. She is studying, I forget, marketing, and she's also a commuter student, so she knows a little bit about involvement here on campus and how to be intentional. So Brooke, do you want to take it away?
Charity. Hi, parents and family. Like Charity said, my name is Brooke Carlson. I'm a senior here at GCU studying marketing and advertising. I have a double minor in hospitality and business management. I'm also a student worker here at GCU for the Welcome Programs. My role there is a marketing and admin assistant, so I help create content for our social media, any marketing projects that the team needs. And then also, if you guys have ever called, emailed our department, pretty high chance you've spoken to me, or I've emailed you, so hopefully I've done a good job. Say yes, because my director's listening. And then I'm also a commuter and part of the Honors College, and I'm a director for our marketing club on campus, American Marketing Association. That's a mouthful. I do a lot of marketing here. So before we get started, we're gonna play a quick video from Ask GCU. Thanks, guys.
What's up? Back with another Ask GCU episode. I'm your host, Jaden.
And I'm Aldrich, and today we're going to be looking at health and safety.
Let's go check it out.
All right.
Today I'll be asking, do you guys have any experiences with student care, public safety, or like the health center?
Yes, actually, I go to the health center. I had strep literally last week, and I got like antibiotics from the health center. They're super helpful. It's better than going to the doctor at home, actually.
Well, hey guys, we are here at the Canyon Health and Wellness Clinic, and I am joined by Lauren. So Lauren, what do you do here?
Hi, I am the front office manager, and I've been here for 11 years. We function as a doctor's office with an orthopedic physician, nurse practitioners, a psych NP, a dietitian, and even x-ray. Does your child need blood work? An IV? We got them. We also offer low-cost prescriptions. Our goal is to do our best to fit their medical needs. We offer scheduled appointments as well as same-day walk-in visits. To make your appointment speedy, it is important to have the portal forms filled out prior to the appointment. And you can find those on gcu.studenthealthportal.com. We look forward to taking care of your child. Lopes up.
So look, I got some questions for you.
Yeah, you guys want to ride?
Definitely, bro. It's hot.
Get in it.
But only if you answer my questions.
Okay. Public safety here is fantastic. They're on their game.
Everywhere we see like public safety officers driving around with their cars and their golf carts.
Whatever time of day it is, they're just going to be there, ask me for ID, and it just makes me feel that much safer on campus.
And there's those like blue buttons that I just press.
Those blue buttons are really nice. One press away from help.
Hey Lopes, we're here at Public Safety, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Mert. I'm the Senior Campus Safety Manager here at GCU. So public safety really incorporates a lot of different things. When people think of public safety, they first probably think of law enforcement, and that is part of it. So we do have a police force specifically for GCU, which also works in correspondence with the local PD, which is Phoenix PD. Additionally, though, we also have over 100 guards that do the day-to-day operations of checking people coming into the booths, checking permits, IDs. We respond to calls, medical calls, fire alarm calls. We also assist with transporting people that may be injured or do those types of things. Additionally, public safety also has our parking and permits. So students looking to get parking here on campus, they would come into building 80. Additionally, we do have lost and found. Lastly, if they need to file a report, they can come into our lobby and meet with one of our officers and file a police report. In addition to calling 602-639-8100 where they can file a report online as well. Public safety here, both our police and our guards are 24/7, 365 days a year. So we're constantly here being vigilant. We work all the gates at all times, and we work with various groups on campus.
One of my buddies also used some of there's like on-campus therapy here.
I know somebody who's actually used the counseling services here, and she really liked it. She did a couple group sessions, and then she actually got to go like every week for a little therapy session, which is super cool, and it's free.
We have like 10 free counselors.
The student care has been a really great resource. They're able to get you in and meet with someone who's able to help answer those questions.
I feel like it's hard to find like good counselors like that nowadays, so I feel like GCU has really great counselors.
So students should take advantage of the free counseling here.
If they need it. Hey, so students go check that out, and it's approved, right?
Approved, baby.
Hey Lopes, it's your host, Jaden here, and today I'm here with
Christina Tibbetts. I am one of the campus therapists with our student care department.
Nice. Well, we just appreciate all your help for all the students. And what is student care?
Student care is the department that provides mental health resources for all traditional on-ground students here at GCU. The student care office is the second floor of this building behind us, building 26. We're right up the stairs, second floor. You'll follow the signs to find our front desk. The mental health services we provide are all based off of clinical assessment. So if a student would like to speak with a therapist regarding any kind of mental health issues they might be experiencing, then they would come to our front desk. They could fill out some paperwork, and we would schedule them for what we call a consultation. And during that consultation, based off of the therapist's clinical assessment, they'll make recommendations or referrals based off of what that student needs. Another thing to know is that our services are included in the tuition that the student is paying to the school. So these services come at no additional cost to the student. You can find more information about our office and the services we provide, as well as see our team of therapists on GCU's website, housed under the Student Affairs section. To schedule an appointment, you do have to come in person.
We were able to check out the health and safety services, and I hope you guys learned something, because I definitely did. What about you, Jade?
I most definitely did.
All right, so with that, we are going to start the portion of this orientation with our amazing panelists. First, we're going to welcome our health and safety. Please welcome Connie, Mike, and Rob to the stage. Hi, guys. So, before we get started, would you please introduce your names and then a little bit about what you do here at GCU?
Yes, hi, I'm Connie Colbert. I'm the Director of Health Services on campus. I have been here, this is now my 14th school year.
And hi parents, I'm Mike Wallace, a licensed professional counselor, and I've been here almost 8 years, in the field for about 26. And like Charity said in her W, we help with students with adjustments, you know, whenever the honeymoon bubble pops or honeymoon periods and a lot of mental health type of stuff, we deal with that. And it's free, so it's wonderful.
Hi everybody, welcome to GCU. My name is Rob Handy from Public Safety. Been in public safety over 30 years, retired as a police chief. A little bit about myself, I actually grew up in this neighborhood right down the street from GCU. Left and went to California for 12 years as part of my career and came back recently. Our public safety department, one thing that wasn't in the video is we have a dispatch center that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That number they flashed up there is on our website. If you ever have concerns about your student or issues or a concern about an interaction your student may have had with public safety in any way, please feel free to call us or reach out to me directly as well. I'm on the website also.
Thank you. So how we're going to do this portion of orientation is that you guys are going to get your phones out, scan that QR code, and send in questions you have for our health and safety department.
While we're waiting on questions, the number one question I always get is, what is the biggest safety issue on campus? And we could talk about scooters for an awfully long time. If you brought scooters, the question yesterday was, what's the number one crime on campus? And honestly, it's scooter theft. And if you brought a scooter, please invest in a lock. If you brought one for your kids, it might be a whole nother thing to get them to use that lock. But you would be amazed at how many scooters are around campus that are unlocked, and they get picked up by non-students or somebody that slips on campus that shouldn't be here and takes the scooter. So please be aware of that, and also make sure that your students understand theft of a scooter is is a problem that it is enforced here, and it can get them in some pretty significant trouble. So we don't want to see that happen. We want your students to be successful here, and we want to be partners in that success. And that's one of the areas that we tend to struggle a little bit with is the scooter theft.
Yeah, I completely agree with him on that one. First question is going to be for Connie. Is there copay with GCU insurance, and can you explain how medical care is done?
Sure. So we take most medical plans, the major medical plans, and then your student will be charged your usual copay. If they do have the GCU insurance that you can purchase, there is no copay. You can see our providers and have our services with no copay. If we do not take your insurance, it's a $50 copay for self-pay. So that includes pretty much everything you'll have in the visit for the $50. There could be additional charges if we prescribe medication and you want to purchase medication on site. So we function basically like your own doctor's office and urgent care. We do have same-day appointments. We have 3 providers on most days that take all our walk-in appointments, and then several others that can take scheduled appointments such as physicals and some other, kind of more well visits that don't need immediate attention.
Great. Okay, question for Rob. Is campus safe at night?
So I think everybody saw the guard gates that we have, right? So our campus is a closed campus. We have fencing around the overwhelming majority of campus. We try to fence every single portion of campus. We have a couple small private properties in campus where we have to allow access to the people that live there. We do try to keep the campus as secure as possible. There are 13 entrances and exits that are guarded with a public safety campus security guard. On campus is typically very safe, but at the same time you have 18,000 students that live on our campus. We have 100 buildings here. You tend to have people that at times don't make the best of decisions. So we do have some of those instances happen. If you leave campus, especially at night, we really ask you to take a lot of precautions. Travel in pairs, be smart about where you're coming and going from. It's not a good idea to walk up to the QT at 2 o'clock in the morning to get a Slurpee. That's down the street. It's just, we live in an urban environment. This is the 5th largest city in the country. There are crimes that happen around campus. Sometimes some of that spills onto campus. Very rarely does it spill onto our campus from the outside. Most of our safety issues really occur from inside, and that's when occasionally a student makes a poor decision. And we don't have that happen very often. It is a very safe campus and a very safe environment. Again, your student is much more likely to be injured on a scooter accident or a skateboard fall. Connie, would you attest to that?
Yes, that's our top 10 of injuries and the reasons your students will be seen at the health center.
So anyway, that's our biggest.
And we deal with the emotional fallout with that.
Yeah, I can say as a student here, going in my 4th year, I have never had a problem here on campus with safety. I feel so incredibly safe walking to my car at night. Like Charity said, I am a commuter, so when I'm done with classes and with my activities, I go home pretty late at night, and I've never felt, any kind of danger. And I know if I do feel unsafe in any situation, I can contact public safety. There's like those little blue buttons around campus as well, which are amazing. So, yeah. One question could be for Mike and Connie. Are health/mental health devices available on weekends? And then what if there's a health emergency?
I can answer from the medical side. We do have an after-hours nurse advice line that your student can call after hours, and they can speak to them whether it's something that can wait, whether it's something that they need to go to the ER right now or the urgent care or something, and they will give them also some ideas of where to go. Or obviously if it is a medical emergency, call 911 right away. But yeah, those are our after-hours services for medical.
Yeah, and I'll touch on the mental health part of it. Guys, we have an organization called Impact, because obviously with our counselors, we work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and obviously we're there for crises if they come up. But for the weekend, Impact comes in, so if there's a suicide assessment, let's say an RA or an RD, a roommate is concerned about a student, Impact will be called, and they will do a suicide assessment for the weekend. So the therapy the crisis part of it doesn't stop after Friday. But then we'll get notified, and through Impact, we have a behavioral health team that will, if that student is in crisis, will walk with them in regards to that. So it's kind of nice because we can focus on our clinical stuff during the week, but we have Impact to back us up, and our RAs and RDs are very wonderful with being there for the students. So.
And if your student does call the nurse advice line, the health center does receive a message, and we follow up with that student the next business day.
Is there a pharmacy on campus, and how are prescriptions filled?
We don't have a pharmacy per se. We do sell what we call prepackaged medications. So if your student sees one of our providers on campus and they prescribe, say, an antibiotic, they can purchase it from the health center at the time of the visit. We do give them the option of either purchasing it at the health center, or we can send a prescription outside to another pharmacy. But we don't have, like, per se, a pharmacy where your student can bring in their own prescription and we fill it. We can, however, get records from your student's doctor that has prescribed certain medications, and if we do have it, we can fill it at the health center.
Thank you. And then one last question for Mike. What is the biggest student need that student care sees at GCU?
The biggest what?
The biggest student need.
That's a very good question. I think on an emotional and mental health basis, it's anxiety, guys. We're in a time, with social media, a lot of stuff coming at us, and students with adjustment and where they're at. I would say dealing with anxiety and then depression, which is the flip side of anxiety in and of itself. But we're there for our students. Whether we process through individual therapy or group therapy, we have different topical group counseling services, anywhere from trying to connect. We actually have an anxiety group to help alleviate those issues, and individual counseling and wellness workshops. So we have a plethora of different things, guys, but I would say anxiety and loneliness, homesickness that Charity talked about a little bit. And one thing I want to say before, one last caveat, for those of you that have minors, and we want to do therapy for everybody, but if your student is 17 or younger, you have to sign off a release of privilege because we have to protect their confidentiality. Because technically we cannot do counseling for a minor unless you guys sign off on that. And that's an easy process. You just go up to Building 26 and you can sign off the paperwork for that. But sorry about being long-winded, but anxiety is the biggest, yeah.
Thank you so much. So that was the last question for health and safety. If everyone would give them a thank you for their time. And then up next, we have our Living in Community. Please welcome up Holly, Eric, Mikkel, and Daniel. Hi, guys. So before we start again, just names and a little bit about what you do here.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Neely. I'm the Director of Residence Life, which mainly means the 30 living areas on campus that all your students just moved into or they're going to move into tomorrow. I get to oversee all the people that get to live life and welcome your students into their new homes on campus. This is my 12th academic year at GCU working Residence Life, and I'm very excited to get to know your students.
My name is Eric Nelson. I'm the director of our spiritual life department here. I've been at GCU for about 7 years. Our department handles various ministry opportunities. We run our chapels and worship services, Bible studies in rooms, and a ton of outreach opportunities. So we'd love to help your students find ways to serve and, again, find their purpose through ways that honor God and find way to support other students on campus maybe who are also looking for connection as well.
Hi, my name is Mikkel Kunzelman, and I am part of the student engagement team, but I work under the commuter life team. And our job is to help connect commuter students and form community through different events that we do throughout campus. I started in 2018, and I am fairly new to commuter life as of 4 months ago.
Hi, my name is Daniel, and I work in the Department of Community Standards. So, as Rob said, when a scooter is stolen, there are consequences for that. I'm the guy that talks to them about those consequences. So I am the least favorite person on this stage for your student. But yeah, so our goal is to walk through community standards violations with the students and find a path to redemption.
Great, thank you guys. So just like last time, we're going to scan that QR code and send in your questions for living in community. All right, first question. How is conduct handled at GCU?
How is conduct handled at GCU? So we receive reports from either the RA, the RD, public safety, police department, anytime that there is a community standards violation on campus. And our job is to read the report and investigate. Once we figure out who was kind of involved in these situations, we bring them into our office and have a conversation and make sure that we get to the bottom of it, that we have the correct information. Once it's determined that a student has a violation, we'll give them the violation and sanctions assigned to those for the student to complete as part of their kind of redemption and responsibility process with us. Once they do their sanctions, they're in the clear, they're good to go. One thing that's important to note is that if a student does commit a violation, those violations are on their record for their entire time here at GCU. They never fall off, so something to keep in mind as they go through the year.
Great, thanks Daniel. Next question, how does my student find a church?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are really committed to making sure that your students are aware of local churches here in Phoenix. So whether they grew up here in Phoenix and are looking for something nearby campus with friends, or they just moved to Phoenix today and want to find something that lines up with maybe a denominational background or whatnot, we would love to help them do that. Sometimes campus can feel like a bubble where it's like we've got ministries and everything here. We really do try to encourage students to get outside of that and connect to the local church, because when they graduate here, we want them to have the tools to succeed in that way. The best way to do that is to encourage your students to ask their friends, hey, or an upperclassman, where do you go to church? Can I maybe hop in your car with you? A lot of the relationships we have with churches nearby, maybe we'll have like their pastor or ministry leader be a chapel speaker. And so there's already some connections there where it's like familiar. And students might say, hey, I'm going to go visit with you. They walk in and there's 200-300 purple shirts, and they know they're in a place where they're going to relate to others. So if students have more particular questions, or they're like, hey, I really haven't found a church yet, please send them to the Spiritual Life office. Encourage them to visit with us, because we would love to help them navigate that.
I can say that Spiritual Life here on campus has impacted my time here so much, so I'm just so grateful for what you guys do. Okay, another question. Are there accommodations for students that can't drive to get essentials from outside or inside campus?
That is a great question. Mikkel works for the student engagement department, and I would say, just like Eric was saying, if your student needs to ride somewhere, they absolutely should reach out to an RA or a life leader who lives in their building. They also could pop in the student engagement office or even the welcome programs office, and we can kind of help them meet some student leaders on campus that can help take them to the grocery store. I don't think we have anything regularly set up, but that's something we can absolutely do by need. The students on our campus are so generous, honestly, that almost to a flaw, strangers are like, hey, you need a ride to Walmart? And I'm like, hey, maybe you should go in a group of 3, right? Like, so I would just encourage your students to get to know some people, and people are always taking trips to Walmart, which is so close to campus.
Another question for you, Holly. How do students become an RA or other student leader positions?
That is a great question. I may have even run into some of your students today, and I'm already telling them, like, watch out for student leadership positions. Something that we are really proud of that Pastor Tim talked about is that we're student leader led. And come this fall, we will already start sharing that with the student body. We put a slide up at chapel. The RAs are always talking about it in the living spaces. But there's an application process that comes out in January. Again, we kind of market it in the fall, and then it comes out in January, and your students can fill out an application, and there's an interview process. We are talking up here a lot about the RAs and life leaders, but we do have almost 1,400 leadership positions on campus in all of our offices. And so your students basically just pay attention to the marketing or talk to some other student leaders, and we'd gladly encourage them to apply. Your students are the next students that are going to be leading this campus in the next couple of years. So absolutely encourage them to pay attention to that.
Thank you. Another question for you, Holly. How are roommate conflicts handled at GCU?
Yeah, that is a great question. So just a reminder, we keep using a lot of acronyms up here, but all of our living areas are staffed with resident directors. Those are professional staff just like me, so these are educated individuals that have chosen a career to walk along life with students going through the college stage. They live in the living areas. Some are married, some have families, so we have some little lopes in our living areas that your students just love. But they train the student leaders in their living areas, so the RAs have come back a few weeks early, and they are trained in roommate conflict resolution. We have learned a lot about roommate conflict over the past several years, so we developed a really strategic plan. And Charity talked a little bit about that, so some of it really is just first telling the student, have you talked to your roommate? If the student's really nervous to do that, the RAs will walk through what that could look like, and they can even do some role playing with them. If it's a situation where they're like, hey, I'm really nervous, I've never confronted anyone in their life, the RA's like, let's do it together. And so they set up a meeting. The resident directors are really there as a next step. If for some reason the RA is not able to reach a resolution, or the students in the room are having a really hard time trying to figure out, man, this topic's really hard for us to figure out different types of solutions in our room. Could we meet with the resident director together? There's a lot of information on our website, even for parents, of how to encourage your student through roommate conflict, but mostly just know that they're not alone, and they should absolutely reach out to the RAs, and the RAs will walk through that with them.
Thanks, Holly. Okay, last question. What spiritual services are on campus, and can my student be part of the worship team?
Yeah, so we have 3 worship services that take place every week. And so you start off on Mondays at 11 o'clock is our chapel. We will fill this arena with students and engaging worship and Bible teaching. It's awesome. If you're ever in town, come visit, because it's just incredible. On Tuesday nights, we do something called The Gathering. We have about 700-800 students, and we'll do Bible teaching and worship in the Antelope Gym. This year, we're doing a study called The Life of Jesus, and it's all the way through the book of Mark. And then on Thursdays, we do something called Sanctuary. It takes place in the older church building on campus, and we'll have about 150 or so students, where this is more of like a prayerful type of reflective service. So you could see that there's large-scale events, worship events, but also it kind of gets smaller to maybe more comfortable settings as well. So all students are encouraged to go. No student has to go, but it's, again, highly encouraged, very positive. Students, as Holly mentioned, student leadership positions. If your student likes to lead worship and is skilled in that area, they are welcome to apply and audition. And so we have a whole team that handles that. We also have positions that handle production and tech and a lot that surround that. So again, if you have a student with a background in ministry or a passion for that, man, they got to sign up for student leadership because we would love to have them and equip them to serve this campus and beyond.
Thank you, Eric. So that's going to wrap up our living in community portion. So would everyone give our panelists a thank you. So next up, we have our academics and careers. We have Gian, Brittany, Marquise, and Michaela. Hi, guys. So same thing as the last two, share your names and a little bit about what you do here.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Gian Bortolotti. We work in student services. Essentially what we do is we're your student's point of contact when they get here. A lot of you have worked with your university admissions counselor up to this point, and now they transition to a student services counselor. So our primary focus is your student's academic and finances, but we like to refer to ourselves as your student's go-to person for pretty much all things.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marquise Scott. I'm the Director of Student Development for Career Services. We also have a Director for Employee Relations, Lionel Williams. And our goal is to get your students to be able to live out their dreams, whether it be through internships or career paths. Our goal is to get them ready and prepared. And Lionel's team brings in the corporations and organizations to hire your children.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Berry. I'm a Director in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. I also teach the intro course, University Success. It's really the first online class that students take that prepare them for the life in college. I was been here for about 10 years, and I was also a student here before that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michaela Griffin. I'm one of the program managers with Academic Centers for Excellence. I've been with GCU for 8 years, and I was also a student. In Academic Centers for Excellence, also known as ACE, we are really focused on providing tutoring support to all of our students on campus. We work in conjunction with the library, so really our focus is to get students connected to all academic resources in order to help them succeed in their coursework.
Thank you. So you guys know the drill. Send in your questions to that QR code for our academics and career. I actually have a question. How does my student get a job or internship on campus?
One of the things that students are learning in one of their first courses is about a system we call Career Connections. And Career Connections is a system that allows them not only to store their resumes and cover letters, but to look for jobs both on campus and off campus. They can also visit the Career Center, which is in Building 16, Room 104, and myself or someone on my staff will help them look for some of those opportunities and also prepare them for the interviews they're going to have.
That's great. Thank you. Just going to wait for a few more questions to roll in. Okay. Is there tutoring available?
Yes, there is tutoring available. We really focus on a lot of the first year courses, so gen ed courses and then early courses within their programs. We also specialize and provide support for nursing, engineering, technology, and business courses as well. And we provide tutoring in a few locations across campus. So we actually have 4 where students can pop in, ask questions. If they need help getting booked for appointments, we are more than happy to help them do that.
And then one more question for that. How do students access that?
Yes, so students can access our services by booking an appointment through their student portal. There is an app within there called Career Connections, and they can go in there. There's a schedule appointment option right at the very top right-hand side. If they run into any snags or any troubles, they can definitely stop into one of our 4 locations, and we can help walk them through it. I know sometimes it can be a little challenging, maybe that first time, but it's just a few clicks, and then they can get an appointment booked.
Awesome. And I can say that the ACE Center has saved me at my time at GCU with my difficult classes. My first 2 years here, I think I was nervous to go to tutoring and admit that, hey, I'm struggling in this class and I'm not doing so well. And then I got really smart my last year, and then now this year, I'm going to really utilize the ACE Center. And everyone in there is just so amazing, and the tutors are just incredible. So if you hear that your student is struggling in a class, please recommend that they utilize the ACE Center.
I wanted to add one thing. I know a lot of students maybe are hesitant to admit that they need some additional support outside of their faculty and maybe classmates. We do offer some group drop-in sessions as well, and so if that group setting might feel a little bit more comfortable for them, we do offer weekly course support on some of the courses that we see a lot of students maybe asking for some help in.
How do we know who the student service counselor is?
Yeah, so our information is located in your student's portal on the bottom left-hand corner. So it should be updated by now. If not, it should be updated when school starts. So we have our both email and phone number available in there, but they can also stop in anytime in Building 18, which is the big glass window building that you see in the center of campus. Second floor, we're available there as well.
Let's see. What if students don't know what they want to do? Do you help direct them?
Is that more of a career question, you think? So the students being here on campus is the time for them to learn what they want to do. But that's one of the reasons we want them to do internships. And we encourage them to start looking to do internships after their first semester. We give them that first semester to learn about being away from home, how to manage their lives, how to manage themselves. But now, if I came here to learn about accounting and I think I want to be an accountant, and I go intern in an accounting office and I find that to be boring or not interesting, now I have more time to go do a different internship and find out what it is that I want to do. And then also by being in some of the clubs and activities on campus, that opens up their minds to different opportunities as well. And then visiting us in the Career Center also opens up some of those opportunities.
I'll add to that too if I can. So our office, student service counselors, we will help them with the official process of changing their major. So we encourage those conversations to be had early and often to really get down to what is it that they want to pursue. And then we kind of tag team with other departments to say, hey, this is what you want to do, talk to them, and they can help further guide that process in figuring out what it is that they want to pursue.
And I would also really encourage your students to talk to their faculty in their programs. Our faculty are really employment driven. A lot of our adjuncts are still working in the field. So if they have an adjunct, they're working in the field. And all of our full-time faculty have a ton of experience and contacts. And they're really the experts of, what jobs are going to lead to with what program they're in. And so really just encouraging that communication with their faculty member. They might help them kind of go into that internship route or help them kind of figure out if they're maybe in between two job paths. They can really help them figure out which one might be best for them based off of their skills.
That's great, thank you. A few more questions. How do students request assistance with learning accommodations?
So it's kind of more of an SDS question, but basically they're going to go into our Student Disability Services office. If they have any learning accommodations that they need, they can get connected with them, but either by email or by stepping into the office. And then they'll have to submit some paperwork just to kind of show what that accommodation is, and then based off of that paperwork, the accommodation will be added into all their classes automatically. And then their faculty will also be notified from the SDS office with a letter lining out exactly what those student accommodations are. So both the faculty member and the student will be aware.
Thank you. Last one. Does FERPA prevent me from accessing my students' grades? Am I allowed to contact the professor?
Yeah, so that'll fall under us. With FERPA, once school starts, it goes active on your student's account. So essentially what we do is we like to have your student take ownership of their account, of their education. So all of our communication goes through them, and hopefully they share that with you because we understand that parents pay the bills. So I know you're gonna wanna know about classes, finances, and all that stuff, but that FERPA does go into effect once school starts, so our communication then shifts directly to the student. But if you fill out an information release form that grants third-party access, which is in most cases it is the parents, we can have those discussions as long as that access is permitted.
And we really do encourage students to talk to their faculty directly. All faculty on campus have office hours weekly where a student can come by, visit with the faculty member, talk about any struggles they might be having with their classwork or understanding the material or maybe their grades. President Mueller talks about it all the time, but we really do have the most readily available faculty in the country, and they are just here to help your students. So really try and empower your students to take that ownership and talk to faculty themselves.
All right, so that is our time with this panelist portion. If everyone would please thank all of the amazing departments that just came up here. So next we are going to welcome up Nadine and Craig with the GCU Parent Council. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Brooke, and our amazing panelists. So this will be the last portion of our parent and family orientation today. I have up here with me two of our GCU Parent Council members. They are both parents of current or former GCU students. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves? We can have a seat too.
I'm Nadine Boykin, and I have twins here at GCU. They're in their second year, boy-girl twins, Sam and Ava, and they are moving in tomorrow. And I have to say, if you thought it was hot today, it was a record-breaking heat last year when we moved in of like 116 degrees. So I just want to encourage you that the heat is starting to fade for us native Arizonans, and we're thankful.
Awesome. My name's Craig Gortz, and we're from the Seattle area. Is this one not working? Thank you. I can hear myself now. Craig Gortz, and I'm from the Seattle area. We have 3 students in our family that I'm helping pay for. One graduated last year, and she graduated with a forensic science degree and already has a job as a fingerprint analyst with the Sheriff's Department. They thought her education was stellar, and we're happy for that. And then our next daughter got married about 2 weeks ago, turned 21 on Sunday, and started driving down on Monday. And they just arrived a little bit ago. So I have a daughter who's doing leadership and management, and her husband is in electrical engineering. So they will be off-student or commuter students.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. So I'm going to share a little bit we'll share a little bit with you about how GCU works to keep you guys connected to the community here through the Lope family. So here's a couple of ways that you can stay involved just through some events that we host on campus or off campus or locally. So the first one is August 29th. It's later this week. It's Thursday, and it's the Lope family send-off. It's the first time that we've done this kind of an event for Lope families, but really the heart behind it is just to encourage you. It will be a time for worship together and prayer together. It is an event for the entire family. There's a session where your student actually gets to pin you. It's really sweet. So put that on your calendars. That'll be later this week. Then October 11th and 12th is GCU Family Weekend. Registration is open already. We would love to have you come back. The weather's a little bit nicer than it is in August, so you can come and enjoy Phoenix at a bit more temperate of a time. Then we host Fuel for Finals twice, which is just a time for parents to come and pass out snacks and prayer cards and to pray with students as they're preparing for their finals week. Like I mentioned earlier when I discussed the W curve, the finals tends to be really stressful. That tends to be kind of the lowest point with our students, and sometimes just praying with a parent or getting a hug from somebody else's mom really just does the heart good for the parents. So that's a super sweet event. And we also have a Lope Family Serve Day with a TBD date that will probably be in February or March, and a couple of other ways to get involved that we'll chat through here in a second. So first is just a little save the date for the Lope Family Send-Off on August 29th, like I mentioned. It's from 9 to 10 a.m. at the Sunset Auditorium. And then do you guys want to chat a little bit about Lope Family Hub?
The Lope Family Hub comes out as a newsletter every so often, and I just checked to see when I got my last one. It was August 17th, and they had like all the emails that I might have missed were kind of in this one kind of send out, and it was nice because there was like sign up links in there for Family Weekend, and then if you're ever interested in Parent Council, the application link comes through that, and that's how I got involved. There's lots of great information in there. In fact, one of the articles is about the second year send-off, which of course caught my eye because that's where I'm at this year. So I feel like it's a super helpful informational piece, and it's super easy. It gathers all the things you may have missed and puts it in one email.
Yeah, that's a great recap. So you should, in theory, automatically be subscribed to the Lope Family Hub. It's based off of the parent or emergency contact email that your student listed when they enrolled. So if you haven't been receiving them, then you can feel free to scan here and we'll get your account set up for you. This is also how you register for events like Family Weekend and some of the other, the Fuel for Finals and some of the volunteer events that I mentioned earlier as well. And if you're interested in joining a LOPE family group, which are kind of local like chapters that we have all across the country, that all of our parent council members help to lead them. We also have other facilitators who are not formal parent council members who lead them. It's a chance to just get to know one another, to pray together, to do care package packing together, just to connect with people who are experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing, and yeah, just build a community in a more localized way. Those are also available, some of them on Zoom. They're not all in person. And then the last thing is if you two could share just a little bit about the Parent Council, since you are members of the Parent Council.
So I got involved last year because I had some of the similar W curve experiences in my family, and I felt like when I talked to my other friends who sent kids off last fall, the same as I did, that I shared that with them because it was so helpful. And I felt like there was just a lot of thoughtfulness put into those kinds of things, and I appreciated it. And I got associated with some of the parents on campus too, and I just really wanted to be more involved and be a resource and answer questions if I could about that whole process. With my two, and they had really great experiences here at GCU. I so appreciated the support they received in the dorms from their RAs and all the different supports that are in place. And I feel like with both of mine, they came to GCU not as solid in their faith as I might want them to be, and I have just seen them grown exponentially this last year. So I feel like, I mean, my parents' heart, of course, is rejoicing in that because they're transitioning to adulthood little by little. And I feel like being on Parent Council helps me to share that with others and encourage them.
That's awesome. I think it's very intuitive that GCU set up Parent Council because it anticipates the fact that the student has transition, but so do the parents. And it gives you a place to go and talk to other parents who we went through what some of you for first time are going through. And it's really good to talk to somebody who has experience, right, and has navigated that. And so we act as a liaison, right, between the school and the parents in different ways. But one is through the Zoom groups and whatnot. But, you know, I think also that what Nadine said is true. My daughter, my first daughter who graduated, her first year on campus, I mean, she was kind of like a nomad. She was not really sure where always to go other than to class and to her room. But the next year she got into a group and then became an RA. And for the next year, 2 years, her life, social life just took off because it gave her a family entity. It gave her something to focus her attention on outside of studies, and she did great. The other part is finding a church. As I already said, it's not the same as going to church when your students are at home. So they get to make choices about where they're going to go and who they're going to go with. But the idea is that we just kept asking our daughters, who were both here at the same time for a while, where they're going to church and who they're going with and who their friends are. And it just gave us a good confidence as parents that their spiritual life was being maintained and even going forward, and that their social life, finding a place to connect, was also taking off. And so those things helped us as parents, and they'll help you too if you encourage your student to get involved in something on campus to help create a family, but also stay involved in their church. And so this is my first time as a parent council, and we've been on Zoom calls a couple months, but I think we all share the same desire to see our children do well and to see them excel in every area of life. And so that is one thing that parent council can do for us as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I would love to spend more time being able to hear more of your wisdom, but we are actually out of time. If you have any more questions at all, a couple of the panelists are going to be hanging out in the lobby of the arena. You can also, again, call or text us at this phone number, or if you have any questions about anything at any point, you can email us at welcome@gcu.edu, and we'll make sure that you get directed in the correct way. So we'll go ahead and dismiss. We'll head out into the lobby. We are going to flip the arena for a Welcome Week event tonight. So I'm going to ask everyone to not hang out too long in here, but we can head out into the lobby. So thank you very much, and I'll see you out there.
I'm on fire, baby, dancing to